Hello, guys, and welcome back. You're watching the Camera 64 podcast, and I am your host, Alfonso Chavez. And as always, we're coming to you from here in the garage in this beautiful city of mine, San Antonio, guys. I have been so fanatic about the Spurs here of late. As many of you know, if you're basketball fans, or maybe not even basketball fans, I'm sure you've heard the name Victor Wembanyama. And I hope I'm saying that right, because it's a kind of a tongue twister. Try and say it 5 or 6 times in a row. Victor Wembanyama. I think I'm saying it right. Or just call him Vic for short, right? Or Win. Victor Win. Yeah, that sounds good too. But anyways, guys, welcome back to the channel. And if you are here for the first time, I want to invite you to come and watch this channel. I am trying to figure it out, guys. So far, I haven't had any new subscribers. I haven't had very many likes, just a few here and there, and that's okay. I'm just gonna keep going with this. I have no idea where this is going or if we even have wheels to go anywhere, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. And for this weekend, I wanna talk a little bit about my photography weekend. It's always great to be out and about. I was finishing up a project that I've been working on for the Blair family, and it was great to get back to them. I first met Blair's son when I took my son to play football for the very first time. My son at the time was maybe about 8, 9 years old, maybe somewhere in there. And the coach ended up becoming a pretty good friend of mine, and his youngest son, who at the time when I met him was about a year old, is now finally graduating from high school, and him, like his father and myself, we are huge into football. We love us some football. This is Texas after all. And so he hired me to kind of shoot a short documentary and also take some pictures as well along the way. So it was the last game of the year for him as a senior. So it's always a very difficult time if you play football for any stretch of time. You know that high school is usually the end of the line for most people, unless you're fortunate enough to get a football scholarship. And I think he actually does have a few offers. So we might see him again. Who knows? We never know, right? But I just wanted to bring that story up because photography is not something that we try and look for customers and take their pictures one time and never hear from them again. Now, the Blair family is somebody that like I said, I've been taking his pictures since he was probably 3 or 4 years old, and he's 18 now. So if that's any clue as to how I feel or how to be successful in photography, it is having clients who return over and over and over again. Also, having lifelong friends also is very helpful, because our second event, which was the day after, so I got to the football field about 6:30 and shot till about 11 o'clock. And then the following day, I had a 90th birthday party. And once again, this is a client that's coming to me that was actually a good friend of mine in high school. So Rebecca, it was nice serving you and your family this past Saturday for her. I don't know if it was her grandfather, but I think it was, yeah, I think it may have been one of her great grandfathers. But anyway, he was celebrating his 90th birthday. And so they hired me not to cover the event, not to actually cover the event itself, but rather they wanted a studio style session. So kind of like what us older folks would know as like an Olin Mills type shoot and session. So we set up our studio there. They wanted a black backdrop, so we accommodated them. We had set up a 20 feet wide by 10 feet tall, just a plain black backdrop. I'm getting that so mixed up. I set up a plain black backdrop, and then we set up a total of 2 lights. So for my main light or key light, we had a Godox, the 400, strobe, and we also had a 46-inch softbox on that light. That's our main light, and it was really simple. It was just off to my left when I was taking the pictures. And because it's a black background, which can be very difficult if you're a new photographer and you're kind of not sure what to do, don't use a black backdrop. I'm giving you pointers right now. Yeah, if you're doing something you're not quite sure, or how to light it correctly, or how many lights you want to set up or anything like that, then definitely want to shoot on a white backdrop, because that gives you so much more leniency for lighting, and a whole bunch of other reasons. That makes white backdrops make for good cutouts as well, if that's what you're doing. But that's not what we were doing here. They were very specific as to what they wanted, so I gave them exactly what they asked me for. They wanted a portable studio set up. They wanted Olin Mill style pictures, family portraits, and they wanted them done on a black backdrop. So that's exactly what we gave them, right? So the front, like I said, we just talked about the key light. So in order to get them off the black backdrop, because this is kind of it was a formal event, there were a lot of people in with black cowboy hats, because this is Texas after all. And of course, there were a lot of black jackets, black dresses. So shooting black on black is very difficult to do, guys. If you're new, like I said, white backdrop. But for us, what I went ahead and did is, since I had a 400 watt in the front, I didn't want to set up another big light in the back. So instead of setting up another 400, which I could have done that, but there's always that risk that they could knock over that big light, because it's hidden behind the backdrop. So rather than go with another big light in the back, I went ahead and used the old 360 from Godox, which is a much smaller. It's just slightly larger than a speed light, and it puts out 360 watts, and it has an external battery. So you can mount the battery low on the light pole, the light stand. Yeah, light stand, right? So I mount the battery low on the light stand, and I'm able to lift it up. And since it's a 10-foot backdrop, I had to make sure that I had the correct light stand. I do have 14-foot and 15-foot light stand, so I used a 14-foot. So once the backdrop was set up, I just raised the light to where it is shooting over the top of the backdrop, and no modifier on that, just straight shot. And the way we alleviate the idea of shooting that with no modifier on it, and again, I could have put a modifier on it, but it just complicates the setup. We didn't want to do that. So what I do is I make sure that when I set them up on the backdrop, that I have them up off of the backdrop anywhere between 3 to 5 feet off of that. And so that's going to give you a little bit of separation to where you don't have to point the light straight down, because when you do that, you run the risk of it flowing over the front of their face, and so we didn't want that. And that's why we want to make sure that we get them 3 feet to 5 feet off of that backdrop, so that that doesn't happen. It just lights the back of their head right here, and their hair right there, which is great, because there were a lot of people with black hair as well, and very dark coffee color or brown color hair, which would really blend into the backdrop, as well as the black cowboy hats too. Without that light back there, it would look like their head kind of is coming out of the backdrop, and we don't want that, guys. So that's why we have to have the separation light, and we also have to have the separation of them off of the background. And for this, we used the R6. I was shooting the R6 Mark II with the 24 to 105 f4. And because it's a studio style setting, of course, we're killing ambient, and we're using our strobes to light. So basically, you can get away with an f4 lens. For most studio shots, you can do that, because your basic settings for me are always the same, right? 200th of a second, f8, ISO 200, and A lot of people will tell you to shoot ISO 100 because, you know, that's the best quality, quote unquote. But by raising it to 200 or sometimes even 400, you can do 400, right? Depending on how fast you want to shoot. By raising your ISO, you're letting your flash kind of take it easy. You're not trying to kill it. Versus at ISO 100, you would have to basically shoot that 400 watts at full power, and we don't want to do that. Because if I have to shoot 3 or 4, 5, 6 pictures in succession, there's a good chance that you're not going to get a flash on every single one of those. But if you raise your ISO to say 400, now you're shooting at an eighth of quarter, either a quarter or an eighth power, which makes it absolutely possible for you to fire off multiple shots quickly and have exposures for all of them, even if they might be slightly underexposed because the flash hasn't completely recycled, but you'll have some light there. And simply by having some light there, it makes it correctable in Lightroom after the fact. So that's just something to keep in mind. But it was great to be out and about, being recognized at the football game. People that I hadn't talked to in a while, who had young kids, and now seeing them grown up. It's crazy that I still get recognized, even though I've been out of sports photography for, gosh, almost 12, 15 years at this point, just because the money that we used to make in sports photography has completely gone away now with a lot of the high school kids, and many high schools now don't even allow you to shoot. And if they do allow you to shoot, you have to post your photos for free. You're not allowed to sell it in many schools, which, I mean, I disagree with that, because you should leave that up to the parents. That's my opinion about that. If a parent's willing to pay for you to get pictures of them specifically, I say, why not? Let the photographers make a little bit of money. It's not like we're trying to, you know, force parents to pay us. A lot of times parents will offer to pay, and I think it's a fair trade-off, because chances are, you know, you're doing this as a hobby and you enjoy what you're doing, and if a parent wants to help you out, I don't see no big deal about it at all. It just helps. It helps to cycle everything, right? The money's got to go in a circle. If parents are not paying or nobody's paying, is it fair to the photographer who has to buy all the equipment, right, and make that available to the parents in some form or another, right? So I just think it's a fair trade-off. That's just my opinion about that. And the other take also from this weekend was the fact that communication is absolutely so important, guys. If there was one thing that I can say that I absolutely got right when it came to photography, it has nothing to do with photography at all, to be quite honest. It's more about the communication, the interaction with the client, and also with the people who are paying, because sometimes it's aunts, uncles, it may be mom and dad, but either way, it's that connection aside from what it is that you're doing. I always try and make a connection with not only the person who's in front of my lens, but also the people who are hiring us or paying us to actually take those photos, because that connection, if it's a good connection and you're authentic and they can see that you're really into your craft and enjoying it, then there's a good chance that they'll bring you back for other stuff. And it's true. I mean, I've had young ladies who I photographed when they played softball or volleyball or softball or volleyball, and then I did their quinceañera, and then I did their high school, and then I did their graduation, and some of them have actually been married off, and I was there to photograph their wedding as well. So that's the kind of client that you want. You want somebody that you can bring on at a young age, and that's why I really enjoyed sports. If I was going to start again right now, I definitely would do sports, even if it was for free, because it starts the train, right? It starts here, and you get on the train here, and the train's going to take you to here, and that is, of course, that you have that communication that I just talked about. It's important to get to know who they are. How many kids do they have? Are their parents still alive? Where do they work? What do they do for a living? and really remember that stuff. Not just talk about it, but actually remember it, because when you see them again and their face lights up, especially if you ask them about their kids, right? How is Susan? How is Johnny? And that connection can, they can't, there's nothing they can take away from you as far as that connection goes. They will remember that you remembered them and their kids. And it's something that they're going to carry with them, and they see you and they recognize you, just like what happened to me this weekend. It was nice. I have to admit, it's nice to be able to go out and still be recognized. That it kind of makes me feel like, wow, I still got a place here, even though I have been feeling crushed by photography. But it's not just photography, right? We all know the economy is shot. But it was nice, and I'll leave it at that, guys. But if you are watching my videos and you're enjoying hearing the information and me talking about my journey in photography and so on and so forth, give me a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. And somewhere down below, if you want to continue to watch this journey as I try and figure it out, you can subscribe, and maybe I can start actually getting out and doing some more videos out and about. Would that be something that you'd be interested in? Or maybe me taking out my 20D, because that is my most popular video so far. It's got almost 2,000 views, and it's just me talking about my old Canon 20D. So maybe I might actually go out and try and do some cool portraits and actual events using that Canon 20D, just to show you guys that camera gear does not matter so long as you know what you're doing, guys. But that's been my video for today, and I hope you have enjoyed it. Till next time, guys, my name is Alfonso Chavez, and I'll see you again, hopefully here in the garage. Take care. Have a great night. Bye-bye.